Last weekend, the Metropolitan Golf Club on Melbourne's famous Sandbelt played host to the first big event of the Aussie summer, the Australian Masters. World number 2 Adam Scott came into the tournament as defending champion. Happy to be back on home soil after another successful season on the PGA Tour, Scott sat down for an exclusive chat with Golfing World to talk about how much he enjoys teeing it up in one of Australian golf's most prestigious tournaments.
I lost a couple playoffs earlier in my career that hurt a little bit, and then had a pretty long wait to finally get one of the gold jackets. But you know, it's certainly one of those things as an Aussie golfer you want to tick off your list.
Still riding high after becoming the first Australian to win the green jacket at Augusta in 2013, Scott carried that momentum into this year. His reward for a consistently high level came in May, when he followed his hero Greg Norman's footsteps by becoming the world number 1.
It's easy for me to look past getting to number 1. You know, expectations are high and my goals are set pretty high, but anytime you get to number 1 in the world, you're doing something right, and it's certainly an achievement. It's an unbelievable process when I think about it. Of course it's a good feeling, but the process of getting there from dreaming as a kid when you're 10, 11 or 12 of being number 1 in the world to actually getting there over a 20-year or so period. I think it's going to be one of those things that when I look back at my career, getting to number 1 was extremely important.
Scott stayed top of the rankings until August, when a red-hot Rory McIlroy returned to number 1 after a spectacular summer. The 25-year-old won the Open Championship, the WGC at Akron, and the PGA Championship in consecutive weeks, and Scott wasn't the least bit surprised.
Rory's, turned his game around to where we all expect it to be. He's shown us that in the past. He's been number 1 before, and he dominated the summer of golf, which is a perfect time to do it, and made it all look pretty easy, really. He's a phenomenal talent, and when the stars align with a guy like that, he's hard to beat. But that's only inspiring for me, and probably a few other guys out there as well. To keep working on the game and try and get that to line up as well, and hopefully every week, but certainly through the major season.
Since the start of 2011, Scott has had 13 top 15 finishes in major championships, including his win at Augusta. But the 34-year-old is far from satisfied with just 1 trophy in his cabinet. In order to add to that tally, Adam's looking at the performances of this year's major champions to help improve his own game.
Yeah, well, I think you have to take note somewhat of what the competition is doing, and it's not just Rory, but it's Bubba Watson as well, certainly. Almost bullied Augusta National this year. His driving was just a clinic out there, and when guys like Rory or Bubba drive it well, they really shorten golf courses, and when they're on, you're going to have to play that style of golf and execute to challenge.
Scott gets to test that theory this week in Sydney, where he'll once again be battling McIlroy for the Australian Open. Last year, the pair went shot for shot as Adam chased a historic Triple Crown. He led by 1 going up the final hole before an untimely bogey left the door open, and Rory birdied to steal the trophy.
I have a bit of a thorn in my side after last year. It was a massive disappointment after such a great month down here. And it's not just getting Rory, it's getting the whole field. I want to win the Aussie Open trophy, and there's a lot of guys to beat, but certainly Rory's going to be favourite going into the event.
But before going to Sydney, Adam was chasing a 3rd consecutive gold jacket at last weekend's Australian Masters. Greg Norman has 6 of them in his wardrobe, but he was never able to win 3 in succession, so Scott had plenty to play for.
You're going out there with the dream of winning, and it would be great to have a little piece of Australian golf history in winning 3 in a row.
It was a perfect final day at Metropolitan, and after 3 rounds, Adam was right in contention. He sat just 4 shots off the lead, and as you'd expect from the highest-ranked player in the field and someone looking to make history, Scott piled on the pressure early. This approach to the 5th set up the easiest of birdies. Another came at the par 5 8th, and the defending champion was on the move. But he wasn't the only one. Left-hander Nick Cullen started 3 back, and this eagle at 4 moved him right into contention. And as the overnight leader Paul Spargo faltered, Cullen made his move. This tee shot at 11 set up a birdie to put him into the outright lead. Another at 12, and suddenly he led by 2. Needing a grandstand finish to keep the pressure on his less experienced opponent, Scott came up with this approach at 17 to set up a much-needed birdie. He then faced this putt at the last, looking to force a likely playoff with Cullen, who was still on the course. With Scott in the clubhouse at 8 under, nerves started to play a part. Cullen bogeyed 15, but the 30-year-old still led by 1 as he faced this testing bunker shot at the 72nd and final hole. An up and down was all he needed, and he produced the shot of his life. The 2014 Australian Masters title was his, the biggest victory of his professional career.